All right, y'all. So there were three um, young white college students, young women, some might say girls, who were expelled from the University of Tennessee for saying the N-word. And I really think it's a joke. And I really think, I don't know if y'all can tell, it should be obvious if I let my hair down, y'all see that is absolutely the case. I'm black, right? I'm 25% black, 22% Native American. I'm very mixed, but I identify as black. And this is according to DNA test that we had taken through my biological sister took, and she and I have the same mother and father. And I just think this whole thing of them expelling these young women is so stupid. I'm like, white folks, y'all need to stand up for yourselves. I mean, they're trying to expel these girls for saying the N-word, and I don't give a fuck. Who the hell says white people ain't got freedom of speech? Who the hell says white people can't say a word? They were not even saying it to a black person. They were not talking mess about black people. They were not saying black people are N-words. They just said the N-word. They just said a word. And they're kicking them out of school, and it's so stupid, y'all. I used to be brainwashed. White people are the enemy. White people are bad. White people are racist. And they're the reason why I live in poverty and grow welfare. No, it's not. Not at all. It's because of the baby mama, baby daddy culture, growing up in a single female home, my biological father abandoning us. That's the number one predictor of whether a child will graduate from high school, go to college, wind up in jail, committing a crime that they're in some way, shape, or form incarcerated. That's whether they grew up in a two-parent home. So, yeah, I have these statistics that I face that aren't pretty, but they ain't white folks' fault. It ain't white folks' fault. But they want to brainwash black people to, blame white folks for everything, just like I was most of my life. When it is black culture, it's black culture. I'm a part of that culture. And I'm a product of that culture. It's only by the grace of God I didn't wind up in jail. Most of my siblings have either been in jail, prison, like myself, in a mental hospital, or did stuff and just kind of got away with it and didn't wind up incarcerated. Pretty much all of us. And I come from a family of 7. And it's because of that culture. It's not because of white people. It just isn't. And they're going after y'all, white folks. They're going after y'all. These globalists cannot stand white Americans. Now, to be sure, and a lot of you white folks that are truth tellers and freedom fighters, and you're very pro-American, and yes, you're even pro-white, as you should be. I have no problem with that, with y'all being pro-white. Europeans and white Americans have created really the most prosperous modernized society ever. And I'm gonna go off on a tangent a little bit, but I was watching this video, you guys, where this white guy was trying to debunk this black guy. And I admit, we black folk, we be trying to take credit for everything. But he had mentioned 15 inventions that were invented by black folks. And he was debunking one by one. This black guy would say, we invented this, and he would debunk it. And what all of his debunking, I only ended up watching like half the video, was this. They didn't invent, like the black people did not invent the light bulb. However, there was a black scientist that improved on the filament of a light bulb. We did not invent, we'd be exaggerating stuff though. We did not invent the refrigerator. But there's a black inventor who improved on the refrigerator. We did not invent automatic gear shift. But there was a black inventor that improved on it. Just like there's many inventors who improved on all of these technologies many, many times. And yes, some of them were black. And yes, sometimes we exaggerate, try to say, well, no, we invented the whole thing from the get-go. But I had to turn it off. Not so much because, you know, the white dude wasn't telling the truth, but I felt like, okay, in some of these inventions, the black guy actually said improved on, not outright invented. So I was like, wait, the white dude's actually kind of exaggerating on some of this. Although some of the things, yeah, the black guy did basically say we invented. No, we didn't invent it. We improved on it. But I say all of this to let black folks know, no, I'm not saying that we as blacks, Native Americans, women, Asians haven't contributed to Western society. We have. And we would have even more had we been allowed to. We have some, but it's overwhelmingly been whites and white Europeans. So I just give credit where credit's due. Again, black folks, I'm not saying we didn't do anything. But white folks should be pro-white just like black folks. A lot of blacks that are pro-black. I'm here to tell you, there are blacks, going back to this college student situation, that have said things against whites, like all whites should be exterminated, etc. And you don't see people trying to get them fired, kicked out of schools. Or if you do, it's probably very rarely. You can't have a double standard where whites don't have the freedom of speech, but blacks can talk mess about whites in the most inhumane ways. I just think white folks, y'all need to start standing up for yourselves. In my opinion, there should be an outcry. When I saw the video, by the way, of these girls saying the N-word, they were so dumb. They're so dumb. As someone who is in his 50s, mid-50s, I've done a lot of dumb things. When I look at college students on spring break, I always think whether it's guys or girls, they're so dumb. But that's young people, you know. And to tell you guys a story, they were probably drinking. All three were wearing bikinis. And they all three said, okay, 1, 2, 3, jigger! They said the N-word. Oh, like, they're so dumb. Like, they've made it so taboo for whites to say the N-word that they have to be drunk and they need a whole support system just even to say the damn word. This is so stupid. They're so dumb. And it's as dumb as, if they said any other word, it's just dumb. I wouldn't even ask for an apology. I just kind of cracked up at it. I wasn't really particularly offended. I mean, the Lord has changed me and doesn't let me get it. I'm a targeted individual, so I get slurs all the time. And the Lord has used it, and only because the Lord has used it to make me thick-skinned, and because I've always in my life been petulant, haughty, a total wuss, self-braggart, think I'm better than everybody else. I ain't shit. Apart from the Lord, I ain't crap, y'all. And overreactive, hypersensitive, just a total mess. And now I'm just like, you know what? They didn't even say the damn word against black people. They didn't make a slam against black people. This reminds me of the N-word girl. She's a woman who, I don't know, I guess she's financially stable, but not wealthy. And she was talking about the fact that not all women want men who have money. And that stereotype should not always be levied against women. She said not all women even want men that make more money than them. She said, and this is a girl, probably in her early 20s. She said, the kind of guys I like, she said they're like white skater boys. And she said, they're broke ass jiggas. Said, that's what I like. So she's using the N-word, and it wasn't hard R, by the way, but she's using the N-word to describe the kind of white dudes that she's attracted to. And they try to destroy her for that. I was like, what? I remember initially, to be honest, I was like, what's this all about? Why is she using that word? I was still kind of sensitive. This is maybe a year ago, so the Lord is really changing me. So, fortunately, Candace Owens had her on her show, and I was like, and they talked, and Candace Owens don't get pissed off at anything. She's like, I can't call the N-word 10 times a day on Facebook. Give me a friggin' break. So she explained herself, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Why are they going after white people like this, y'all? It's ridiculous. You can't have one standard against white folks and then a totally different standard for people of color, because it fundamentally says we're not equal, and blacks can't be held accountable for when they say some of the crap they say against white folks. And trust me, y'all white folks, I've heard some black folks talk mess about y'all. I was one of them, y'all. And ain't nobody coming after black folks for opening they big mouths and talking mess. And they shouldn't be going after these white girls. And all honesty, I wouldn't even ask these white girls to apologize. I think they just leave them the fuck alone and let them live their lives. You know, if they had said it against black people, they're still within their purview of their freedom of speech. And I would not, in that case, I mean, just an apology would be plenty for me. Like I said, they didn't say anything about black folks. They just said a friggin' word. And they still want to try to destroy these girls. And I think it's stupid. I think they were fired as well from their jobs. Two of them, I think, two of the three, I guess, were U10, University of Tennessee students. And two worked for I don't know what company. And they got them fired. And they got them kicked out of the university. And it's just outrageous. And I feel like this is just the globalists. They want to take down America. And the only way they're going to do that is by taking down white people. And so they're going after white people big time. They've rolled out all their shit to destroy the black community. We used to have the healthiest diet, you guys. And I'm talking, 20 years ago when the food pyramid was legitimate. Blacks were considered to have the healthiest diet just based on race. Now we have the highest obesity. Blacks used to have the highest legitimacy rate. We did not have children out of wedlock. Now we have the highest illegitimacy rate. We have 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. 75% of black children are raised by a single black female, which I said is the number one predictor of crime, not graduating from high school, not getting to college, etc., etc. Not white people, not whether they like us or not whether they use the N-word or not whether they use the N-word to call themselves the N-word. Alex Jones, call white folks jigger. So who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. And they need to leave these folks alone. If any of y'all ever watch Harrison Smith on Alex Jones Live, you'll see that he complains a lot about apparently there's some schools and there's some companies that basically don't hire white people anymore, even though a lot of times they're the most qualified. And I can't blame him. I mean, it's not fair. It's not right. And I do want to see more blacks occupying these positions and getting into these Ivy League schools. The only complaint I have about Harrison Smith is that sometimes he does what some white folks do, which is assume that if you were black and you got into an Ivy League school or the West Coast equivalent, well, you got in there because you were black and you don't deserve to be there. Academically, you can't compete with whites. The way he complains, it just makes it seem like almost as if, I'm not saying he thinks this, but it's almost as if he thinks no black person can compete against a white person academically. Now, we do horribly. I ain't trying to lie to y'all. We do horribly compared to whites. It is a disproportionately small percentage of African Americans that can get on these schools on merit alone. Okay, so he's telling the truth, but it doesn't mean there's none of us. But it's ridiculous because I'm black and I'm telling you, I don't want a pilot if I'm on a plane, a doctor if I'm being operated on, who's not fully qualified and doesn't deserve to be in that position, and is largely in that position because of, you know, affirmative action or DEI or whatever. You know, let me tell you the story. A story. I talked to a young black woman who got a full scholarship, 4-year scholarship to UC Berkeley, and she did wind up graduating and getting her degree in whatever her degree was in. And this is probably like 30 years ago. And she told me, you know, Neon, I got that scholarship largely based on my GPA. Her GPA was 3.75. No, 3.85, which is an A average. But she went to an inner city school in Los Angeles, which is one of the things the deep state, I don't blame white folks, I blame the deep state. It's one of many things they do to try to destroy the black community, because they're testing everything on the black community, and I would submit to you the Native American community, but particularly the black community, before they roll it out in the white community, because they want to take down America, and they've got to destroy patriots. So these inner city schools where black students go to, even if they do study their butts off and get all A's, they're still not able to compete academically with whites. So one of her professors told her during her first semester, young lady, academically you are not up to par with the other students at this university, and if you do not do something quickly, you are going to flunk out. Yo, I just found a dime. And she told me, Neon, you know what? I didn't like what the professor had to say, but she said, I knew they were telling the truth. And she said, you know, I knew. She said, I knew if I knew one thing about myself, I knew this. It was that I was smart. And so she told me that the first year there at UC Berkeley, she basically lived in the library. She said, I had to do my studies for my classes, and I also had to do a bunch of remedial stuff, so that I would write a proper essay and proper punctuation, or whatever she needed to do to get herself up to where the other students, maybe some, you know, get herself up to level in college math. But she said she graduated and was able to compete, but she had to really put her nose to the grindstone, because she would have otherwise flunked out. And so I think that's the case for a lot of blacks, that if you're going to try to get them into air traffic controlling and pilots and executive positions, there's just not that many of us that qualify. There's some, there are not that many of us that qualify, and we're going to need remedial education to bring us up to par. Just like this young woman. This woman today would probably be like 60, by the way. But just like she had to do, she did that on her own because she was genuinely smart, but just didn't have an opportunity, even when she did everything, you know, the way she was supposed to. And so I do want to see blacks in these positions, but I do not want to see them in those positions strictly because they're black. And I already know the statistics on us and how we do academically, and it's not good. And it's not because we can't do it. It's because of our culture. It's because of the circumstances under which we grew up. All of the abuse that is so common when you're raised by a single mom. There's all kinds of abuse statistics that are like 2, 3, 4 times, sometimes even 20 times more likely to happen to you if you're raised by a single mom than if you are raised in a 2-parent home with a mom and dad. And so, what? This is weird. And so, yeah, I hit the crosswalk thing, but it didn't go off. So, whatever. So, you know, it's not because we are innately unequal. But anyway, I mean, if they did that to a black person, if you had 3 Spelman women doing the same thing and they said, white trash, see, I just said it, watch, they're not gonna come after me. Of course, I'm on SSI, I ain't got shit for anyone to take, but nor do I have a job you can fire me from, but they're not gonna come after me. Why do I get to say that but white people don't? It's so stupid. And you know, to me, white folks, y'all need to stand up for yourself. Y'all need to stop this insanity that if y'all look the wrong way, they want you fired, they want you kicked out of the university, they want to destroy you because they want to destroy America, and they want to do to the white community what they've already succeeded in doing to the black community. And I'm talking about globalists and Epstein class that, like I said, they want total power. And what is standing in the way right now primarily is white folks. Yes, you have black, Latino, Asian patriots as well. But in terms of numbers, you don't have as many of us as you do of white folks who are educated. They understand their First Amendment, their Second Amendment, their Fourth Amendment. They understand their rights. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. I'm just saying hi to these meano dogs. Hi. What? What, baby? What, baby? Hi, baby. You're so brave. You're so brave. Hey, 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 no fight. Don't fight. Hi, baby. So, y'all, hi, cutie. How are you? How are you? How are you? Y'all, so these dogs, they start acting crazy, right? And one of them really wants to go after me, starts barking at me. But then I don't know what breed of dog they are, I forgot what it's called. I forgot what it's called. But there's 4 of them. One of the dogs is too old to care. The other dog's too friendly. All he does is he wants to come up and sniff me and wag his tail. The other one wants to act like Cujo, like he wants to try to jump the fence to get at me. And the other one starts barking at it like, I dare you to try to F with him. I will bite you. And he just barks at him crazy. So the dog, and he blocks him so he can't come chasing after me. You know, running all up to the fence and whatnot. Today they almost fought. I'm like, what? It's nice though. Because sometimes I'm a targeted individual and there'll be like 3 or 4 dogs friggin' all up on the fence acting like Cujo. But yeah, these globalists, y'all, they want to destroy America. They want total control over everything. That's probably why the sound campaign's kicked up a little bit. And they know they've got to take out white folks. And that's why in the big scheme of things, I'm not complaining about Harrison Smith. He's telling the truth. And, you know, being pro-white, if you're white, doesn't make you a racist. It makes you proud of your heritage. It makes you proud of this great culture that y'all have made. You know, I would say the lion's share of y'all have made. And the envy of the world. There's nowhere on this planet, like, I'm black, and yeah, I was one of these dummies that's like, I want to live in Africa. The hell, no I don't. No I don't. Yo, and I've even seen blacks who have gone to Africa. I'm talking about blacks with money, and they basically complain about it too. You know, because this is the greatest nation in on the world, on the planet. The prosperity, the freedom, the rights of the individual. This nation is the best nation on the planet. And globalists know they need to destroy America in order to have total control. And believe me, they're trying. But as long as there's a Harrison Smith, an Alex Jones, a Candace, God bless you in the name of Jesus Christ. As long as there's an Alex Jones, a Harrison Smith, a Candace Owens, a Tucker Carlson, they will never, and really the Lord's not going to let them bring us back to what Whitney Webb calls neo-feudalism, or they want to turn us into a bunch of neo-serfs, neo-peasants. They want us to live as little more than slaves. That's white folks, black folks, all of us, y'all. And they want power and wealth, land, all of it. They want it consolidated into the hands of just a few people. They want like basically less than 1% of the population to rule over everybody else. And God said no. The only thing they're going to succeed in doing is controlling the money. That's it. That's it. But in terms of controlling our speech and controlling our, they want control over your thoughts, you guys. They literally want control over your thoughts, but God stands in the way. They want control over your will, over your ability to make decisions. That's why when these kinds of stupid things come about, where three girls who happen to be white, three young women who happen to be white, get together in bikinis while they're drinking, and it takes all of that for them to work up the nerve to say 1, 2, 3 jigger. Y'all need to stand up for yourselves, and y'all need to stop letting this kind of insanity and stupidity be used against the white community, because it's absolutely outrageous. I send out my love to all y'all beautiful folks. God bless.